Hi, welcome to Economics 590, a course on the federal budget. I'm your instructor, Keith Hall. This is a 7-week fully online course. And as I mentioned, it's on the federal budget. The federal budget is important. It represents the nation's financial priorities. It significantly impacts nearly every single American. Yet, the last time that Congress and the President met their own deadline to fully enact budget legislation was over 25 years ago. They have continual budget failures. They have complete lack of coordination between each other. They constantly have to pass temporary stopgap funding bills. They have complete or partial government shutdowns. And there's been an unprecedented accumulation of federal debt, something to the tune of $20 trillion. So the federal government owes about a full year of GDP in past debt. So in this course, we're going to offer an overview of the federal budget and the federal budget process. We'll talk about its history. We'll examine both the theory and practice of the process. We'll identify the main players involved. We'll talk about the principal sources of information on the budget. We'll discuss some of the important methodological issues. We'll identify sources of failure in the budget and the budget process. And we'll just discuss some of the proposals for fixing those failures. Let's talk about the course objectives. The objectives are for you to first acquire a basic knowledge of the major components of federal spending and revenue sources and how these have changed over time. Second, you should be able to interpret the federal budget process and the roles played by both the executive and legislative branches, and be able to identify the main players, the congressional budget committees, the Congressional Budget Office, the Joint Taxation Committee, the Office of Management and Budget, and others. You should be able to evaluate the current challenges created by persistent federal budget process failures. You should be able to evaluate how proposed solutions may or may not affect and improve the process. You will also be able to evaluate the current challenges created by persistent federal government deficits and debt and what potential solutions will look like. You should be able to explain the interaction between government spending and the private economy. You should be able to explain the special role that healthcare spending has played and will likely continue to play in the federal budget. You should be able to interpret technical budget reports and be able to explain budget concepts. I'm your professor. Again, my name is Keith Hall. You can probably find a better description of me online. I'm sure they'll put up something. I have 25 years of federal government experience. I've been in a lot of interesting jobs. I was the director of the Congressional Budget Office for one term, 4 years. I was the commissioner of the Bureau of Labor Statistics for a term, 4 years as well. I served at the White House Council of Economic Advisors as the chief economist. I was there for 3 years. I was the chief economist for the Department of Commerce, and I worked for many years at a place called the United States International Trade Commission. So my experience is very, very broad. I've dealt with the budget at almost every angle, from an executive agency to a legislative agency like the Congressional Budget Office. And last but not least, I have a PhD and a master's from Purdue in economics. Nice to meet you. I hope you enjoy the course.